Each of Valheim's 7 bosses provide challenges that can be overcome in many unique ways. Whether you're looking to fight a boss with honor, do it quickly, or straight up cheese your way to victory, this video has you covered. The game's first boss is straightforward and serves to introduce players to Valheim's boss mechanics. For battling the Great Elk, I recommend this kit, equipped with leather armor, honey, cooked meat for sustenance, and the flint spear as my weapon of choice for melee combat. The creature has 3 attacks, starting with melee of swung antlers, made clear by a lowering of its head. Second, a ranged lightning bolt after leaning back on its rear legs. And third, an area of effect lightning stomp, signaled by him standing vertically on its hind legs before slamming down. The best way to beat this boss is to learn the tells for impending attacks and execute timely dodges. If dodging isn't your thing, their damage can be almost entirely blocked with either wooden shield. A safer alternative if uncomfortable with block and dodge timing is to keep your distance and take them down with arrows. The distance will keep you out of range of both melee and AoE attacks, where you can whittle them down with fire or flint arrows alongside the crude bow. For an even faster approach, you can use campfires as popularized by speedrunners. After making your sacrifice, balls of light will gather to a single point, signaling the boss spawn. Just prior to their summoning, place as many fires as you can and begin circling the beast. Eikthyr will furiously try and face you, all the while toasting on the campfire's flame. Construct more fires as you spin, and in mere seconds, you will have their antler and be off to the Black Forest. This biome presents a significant spike in difficulty where a combination of melee and range will be needed to overcome the boss's 3 attacks. For best results, I usually rock either the bronze sword or spear, pair that with fire arrows and fine wood bow, and protect myself with a bronze and troll armor combo while doubling down on stamina food to give me more energy for the fight. His first attack summons roots, signaled by the elder raising his right hand. The roots can be destroyed quickly, but pack a punch, so I generally avoid them, but more on that in a moment. Second is a stomping AoE attack, always accompanied by an audio cue and the raising of his foot, making for an easy block or dodge. Third is a vine toss and is by far the most dangerous of his attacks. Fortunately, he will only attempt this if you are far from him, making proximity a surprising blessing in this fight. However, he will warn you of the attack by pulling his arm behind him before extending it forward, sending a stream of vines. I do not recommend trying to dodge or block this one, but rather use any of the 4 pillars that corner the arena to absorb the damage. The secret to this fight is patience. Adopt a strategy of dealing melee damage when you can, while dodging or blocking his stomps, and retreat to the furthest column where he summons his roots. The columns will provide you safety from the vines while you poke at him with fire arrows. Once the roots despawn, close distance and repeat the process. In no time, there will be a new king of the forest. Before 2 far easier strategies, a word from today's video sponsor, oncehuman. Oncehuman is a survival game like Valheim, but in a post-apocalyptic world setting with very special monster designs. I played it for a while, and now is the perfect time to return to oncehuman with permanent servers coming in their homecoming update. So what exactly does this mean? Quite simply, no more wipes. Going forward, servers will no longer be reset at season's end, ensuring that players can continue their journeys without loss. If you've played on Lunar Oracle servers, don't worry, season tags will continue and the visional wheel will continue to turn, ensuring players always have access to fresh and exciting experiences that they deserve. Even better yet, this update enables character asset sharing across all servers. Star crumbs, blueprints, cosmetics, and more will now all be tied to one character and seamlessly shared across all servers. Thanks to both no-wipe servers and character sharing, you've got a family plan. You can now effortlessly play across all scenarios with your character on each server, making for the easiest player experience yet. Make sure you dive in before the end of March, as there are more than 20 rewards and a morphed deviation, all for free waiting for you. Play oncehuman now on PC and pre-register to secure exclusive rewards before its mobile launch on April 23rd. Thank you to oncehuman for sponsoring today's video. Alternatively, the absolute fastest approach is to leverage campfires like in the Meadows. Like before, locate the gathering orbs of light and place as many campfires as you can below the Elder's torso as he is summoned and attempts to stand. Set up behind the boss and strafe around him while he turns to face you. Unlike Eikthyr, the campfires will break before you can drain his health, so you will need to repair them while you circle. If done correctly, you can parade around the boss indefinitely while the fire burns him down. The third and far less stressful method is to build a staired elevated platform at a height just below the altar's flame. Second, dig a hole underneath until you find this large stone cylinder supporting the eternal flame above. Now, summon the boss and retreat to your hole and stand underneath the cylinder. Bosses in Valheim will pathfind to a player when out of sight, and in this case will stand directly above you only to burn in its own fire, yielding his key, opening the door to the swamp. This biome and its motley boss provides unique challenges that thwart many of the strategies used in our first two boss battles. For one, the terrain, where preparation will be key. Prior to starting the fight, use your hoe to raise or level the earth around the skull for more space to maneuver. Second, poison resistance meads and a blunt dealing damage weapon will be critical, with poison everywhere and biomes being the only boss weak to blunt damage. Combine those with an iron helmet, pants, root chest for Draugr and skeleton arrows, and once again, reliance on stamina foods for best results. When summoned, he has 3 attacks to worry about. First, he will reach into his armpit and toss a blob and skeleton summoning clump into the arena. I personally like to dispatch the summoned mobs quickly, as the fight gets significantly more difficult when dealing with multiple foes. Second is a poison damage dealing cloud in an area around the boss, signaled by an animation as if he is about to sneeze. I generally recommend stepping away from the boss when he does this to avoid damage. If he does hit you, the poison mead will be your saving grace. Third is a powerful melee attack when pulling back his arm following an audio cue. This can be blocked with a tower shield, but will require a successful parry with a buckler or round to absorb most of the damage. A timely dodge works too. Following his melee attacks are the best opportunities for damage, as you will usually have time for 2-3 attack combos, or 3 power attacks before he strikes again. Continue retreating from the poison cloud, clearing the summoned mobs quickly, and take advantage of your melee attack opportunities, and the green blob will be no more. More simply, of course, you can build a treehouse. Yep, you heard that right. The large trunk of non-ancient trees in this biome cannot take damage and make for a formidable support. Find one and embed ladders in its trunk, and once high enough, place floor pieces, a rail, and portal on the platform. From there, make a connecting portal nearby. Personally, I like atop sunken crypts, and summon the boss and teleport to your post. From here, you can rain terror on biomes completely out of his range and augment the strategy further by building a roof to avoid the stamina drain from the wet debuff. Admittedly, arrows deal little damage, making this a tedious strategy, but it is relatively stress-free. My third strategy is much faster, albeit a little shady. Like before, find a non-ancient tree, but this time place a firewood chair at the base, sit, and clip inside the tree. While inside, biomes won't be able to hit you, but will approach close enough for you to hit him from the safety of the trunk. Wail away, and in no time, you will have his wishbone for guidance into the mountains. This biome delivers a new challenge with our first boss to take flight. Like biomes, preparation is critical, where it's wise to first level terrain and even raise earth columns for reasons I'll explain in a moment. Further, a kit including frost resistance from a mead, or in my case, wolf cape, is a must in combination with my preferred silver sword and Draugr fang with poison and obsidian arrows for peak damage. Like usual, I prefer stamina foods and opt for the faster Fenris gear, but with the Drake helmet for increased armor. Starting in the air, she will do a barrage attack, dealing frost damage, leaving behind giant icicles. Shield yourself from the attacks with the raised earth and break the leftover crystals to avoid getting stuck on them. Navigate the arena and use the columns for cover while you pick away at her with arrows. Landing is when you have your best opportunities to deal damage, but have 3 attacks to worry about. First and second are a slash dealing claw and bite, both dodgeable and blockable with an upgraded silver shield and appropriate food. Third, a frost breath, which like melee can be dodged or blocked. If not comfortable, stick with your bow and keep the columns between you and her for maximum safety. In many ways, you're best off doing this fight bow only, but keeping your head and dodging her up close will accelerate the process. But why fight her alone when you can do so with a pack of puppies? That's right, 1 and 2 star wolves can deal an immense amount of damage in a short period of time if you can manage the logistics of migrating your pack to the peak of the mountain. After summoning Motor, have your puppies follow you and do your best to avoid projectiles until she lands. Once on the ground, distract the dragon and your good boys will take care of the rest. However, if you'd rather avoid a disciplinary visit from PETA, instead, just dig a hole. At the edge of Motor's altar, excavate to a depth of 2 meters wide enough for the base of a bonfire, taking note of the altar lip you will later use for cover. Next, place bonfires at its base. One will do the job, but I recommend at least a second to save time. When done, summon the boss and retreat to the hole. After a while, she will land above you, and if done right, her wings will clip into the flames. Periodically, she will take flight, but always return to take further tick damage. You can try taking shots with your bow to increase your damage output when the opportunity strikes, but otherwise, repair the fires until you have her tears. The plains deliver the game's most epic encounter, but fighting the region's boss is straight up no joke. Meads will be critical as I always bring barley wine, Ratatosk, and the anti-stink concoction to reduce fire damage, increase my speed, and prevent nasty stings while I focus on the Goblin King. Further, spirit damage trumps all, so I choose to arm myself with the silver sword and protect myself with full padded. As he unearths himself, ensure you take advantage of the animation to get a head start in the fight, as when above ground, he has 3 lethal attacks to concern yourself with. First and most dangerous is a meteor strike, following him raising his left hand. To avoid this, look to the sky and position yourself between the meteors and the stone pillars that make up the arena. Second, a Nova attack following the raising of the right hand, resulting in the slamming of the ground, leaving behind a radius of flame. And third is a Fire Breath attack, telegraphed by the tilting back of his head. Yagluth offers few opportunities for damage, but the best ones are both when he taunts and following his ground slam. As he raises his right hand, prepare to either block, parry, or dodge, which will mitigate most damage from the slam. While the Scorched Earth will damage you, the Barley Wine will absorb most of it, allowing you time to deal damage. Soon, he will raise his left hand, which is your signal to retreat and avoid the meteors. Once done, your job is to close distance once more and await another slamming Nova. If he attempts his Fire Breath while approaching, simply strafe to the side to avoid it. While slow, stay disciplined, and after several cycles of this strategy, the Plains leader will be no more. An easier approach is to set up by his spine as he unearths himself. Like many of the game's creatures, he cannot attack without facing you. Take advantage of this mechanic and circle him, attacking as he turns. A cool way to accelerate this is to sneak into the Mistlands early and craft yourself refined Eider. Break the stack into individual pieces, and as the balls of light gather, drop as many as you can on the ground. While turning, the Eider will emit bolts, dealing lightning and poison damage, augmenting that done by your sword to accelerate the fight. Even easier, but admittedly cheesier, is to dig a hole nearby about 2 meters deep, but wider than with Motor. Once again, place at least 2 bonfires at its base for a decent time. Cover the hole with 4 pieces and summon the boss. Retreat, light your fires, close your hole, and like the dragon before, Yagluth will approach and rest on top of the platform to periodically take fire tick damage, soon to provide the materials you need to manage the mist. The Mistlands Boss to this day may arguably be the toughest boss fight, but the following 3 strategies will make her easy. Starting with melee, there are a few non-negotiable items required, like the Poison Mead for the Queen's poison attacks, Wisp Light to clear the mist, Ooze Bombs or Demolisher to deal with adds, and Feather Cape to reduce the risk of fall damage in the vertical arena. My weapon of choice here is surprisingly the Crom, for which I'll explain in a moment. Apart from that, the standard armor, foods, and whatever ranged weapon you prefer should be equipped, but meads will help a ton, specifically Lingering Stamina, Medium Healing, Ratatosk, and Lightfoot. The first 4 of her attacks are melee, starting with a slash with her arms, lunging bite with her mouth, ground stab and a rushing slash where she sprints across the arena. But that's not all. She will also spew projectile gunk that spawns Seeker Brood, will burrow and resurface elsewhere in the arena, and finally roar to summon Seeker into the battle zone. The strategy here will be to use the Crom, as her frequent attacks do not allow time to execute the 3-attack combo of single-handed weapons. For this reason, 2 Crom slashes or the secondary lunge I believe are optimal. Take your time and dodge and or block her attacks, poking her with your sword between acts of aggression. If she summons either Seeker or Brood, toss down my preferred ooze bombs to quickly dispatch the Brood and slowly drain the Seeker. Remember, this boss fight presents one unique advantage in that you can always exit the arena when you wish to rest, heal, and repair your weapons as needed. For this reason, always build a small base inside her citadel just beneath the arena. This will be a long fight, but if you stay disciplined, dodging her attacks and poking her with the Crom, you will eventually get through it. Of course, a far easier strategy is to use magic, where I like to have all 4 staves with me. Dead Razor for skeletons to distract adds, Embers to deal most of the damage, Frost to slow encroaching creatures, and Protection being the most critical of all. Combine those with the same meats as before, but add minor Eiter, and for me, 2 Eiter foods and 1 stamina work best with the full Eiter weave set. This strategy is straightforward, as you will primarily keep your distance and wail on the Bug Queen with the Staff of Embers, which also works exceptionally well dealing with adds. Always keep your Staff of Protection bubble and your meats topped up, and in no time she will be done. Even easier still is to draw her in with ranged weapons and retreat to the arena porch. From there, slam the Demolisher to deal AoE damage through the wall. She can't damage you here, giving you free reign to slam except for the occasional Seeker or Brood. If she ever does retreat, draw her back in with the bow, and repeat the process, making for maybe the easiest boss fight yet, and clearing our way to set our sights on the burning Ashlands to the south. This Forsaken biome presents the ultimate challenge, and only the brave have the courage to defeat him with their bare hands. To do so successfully, I recommend you load up on maximum armor, equip yourself with these meads, and for the first time in this video, utilize 2 health foods and 1 stamina. As for weapons, nothing can compete with the damage output from the Lightning Axes and Lightning Ripper at range, which admittedly we will use sparingly. Fader has 4 melee attacks to prepare for: a lunging bite, left and right claw, and 4th, a spin, all of which will be the least of your worries. For more lethal attacks, he has a fire breath, summons meteors like Yagluth, a wall of fire encircling the player, and most dangerously, a fissure attack which warrants further explanation. When Fader swipes his paw in front of him and stomps the ground, what appears to be flames will appear below the feet of the player, but will not immediately deal damage. These will follow you, and after a short delay, erect spikes from the ground, dealing massive damage, killing even a player with full flame metal armor and barley wine. The key to this fight will be outmaneuvering this attack. Lastly, around the middle of the fight, Fader will begin summoning green chard when raising his hand and projecting green orbs from his mouth. These won't cause as much trouble as you think, as you will see in a moment. Our strategy will be to get in close and wail away while either dodging or blocking his attacks. When low on stamina, pop a tasty mead to extend your damage window before being forced to retreat by meteors or the fissure attack. When retreating, circle the boss, but walk when you can to conserve stamina. You do not need to run to outpace the summon spikes from fissure. As the flames dissipate, close distance again and repeat the process. Don't be afraid to take a couple hits, as the armor and backup healing meats can extend your damage window. At about halfway through the fight, Chard will be summoned, but fortunately of the green variety with far less health. Don't fret about these and continue circling the boss, as the fissure spikes will also do some friendly fire. Beyond that, these fights require patience and discipline more than anything, avoiding getting greedy, and before you know it, Fader will be down. Magic, on the other hand, is far simpler, where we swap armor for the Embla, opt for our usual 2 Eiter and 1 stamina food, but add a lingering Eiter mead to our collection. As for staves, our main source of damage will be the Staff of the Wild, while the Embers will provide supplementary damage when forced to a distance, with the Staff of Protection being the key to our survival. Like before, circling the boss will be our strategy, but we won't need to get as close this time as we drop roots next to the boss while avoiding all attacks and relying on our bubble to absorb damage. Keep in mind, the fire summoned by the boss will destroy our roots, so target ground not engulfed in flame when possible. As the fight extends, the opportunities become fewer, so bomb him with fireballs while you await the resolution of flame. Apart from this, continue circling the boss, summoning roots while you can, while keeping your meads and protective bubble active for a much safer boss fight. That said, recruiting tame 2-star Aspen is even easier yet. When Fader lands, your Aspen will charge the boss, and with 15 2-star green boys, like in my case, the green dragon never stood a chance. And now that you know the best strategies to beat each boss, you might as well equip yourself with the best weapon for each biome that I cover in this video right here.